Intro. Have you ever noticed how the harder you chase after something, the further away it seems to slip? It's as if life plays a cruel trick. The more desperately you cling, the faster it runs. You chase recognition, wealth, happiness, or peace. But instead of bringing them closer, your chase creates tension and stress that pushes them away. It's like trying to hold water in a clenched fist. The tighter you grip, the more it leaks through your fingers. But what if I told you there's another way? What if the secret to attracting everything you want lies not in chasing harder, but in learning how to let go? Think of it like a garden. You can water the soil, plant the seeds, and nurture them with care. But if you stand over them day and night, tugging at the stems, demanding that they grow faster, you'll only harm the process. Growth takes time. Nature has its rhythm, and the wisest thing you can do is step back and trust. Life works the same way. The more you chase, the more resistance you create. But the moment you step back, the moment you surrender to the flow, that's when things begin to fall into place. What's meant for you will find its way, but only when you stop blocking it with anxiety, control, or fear. This is where stoicism shines. Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca left behind timeless wisdom on how to live calmly, courageously, and with purpose. Their lessons are not just abstract philosophy, they are practical tools to help us stop chasing and start living. Today, we'll explore 12 powerful Stoic lessons that will show you how to detach from outcomes, master your mind, trust life's timing, and walk with the kind of quiet strength that naturally attracts respect, success, and peace. This isn't about ignoring ambition, it's about channeling it wisely, so you stop exhausting yourself and start aligning with life's natural flow. So stay with me until the end, because the final lesson ties everything together in a way that might just change the way you look at success forever. Let's dive in. Lesson 1. Detach from the outcome. One of the greatest shifts you can make in your approach to life is to detach from the outcome. Too often, we believe that happiness or success is found only in reaching a particular result, landing the dream job, achieving a financial freedom, or finally earning the respect we crave. While goals are important, obsessing over the outcome creates unnecessary pressure. The more you fixate on results, the more anxious you become, and that anxiety clouds your judgment. Stoicism teaches us that true strength comes not from controlling results, which are often outside our power, but from mastering the process and focusing on the actions we can control. Epictetus captured this perfectly when he said, "Do not seek for things to happen the way you want them to. Rather, wish that what happens happens as it should, and you will be happy." This doesn't mean abandoning ambition. It means shifting your focus from grasping at the finish line to taking intentional steps in the present. Imagine training for a marathon. If every run is filled with frustration because you aren't at race day yet, you'll burn out long before the starting line. But if you focus on each training session, celebrating the small progress you make daily, you'll not only improve steadily, but you'll also arrive at the race prepared and calm. Let me share an example. A friend of mine, let's call her Lily, spent years obsessing over a specific promotion at work. She put in long hours, sacrificed weekends, and constantly compared herself to colleagues. But the more she obsessed, the more drained she became. Her stress even began to affect her performance. One day, a mentor reminded her, "Focus on being excellent in your role today. trust that the right opportunities will align when they're meant to. Lily took the advice seriously. She stopped checking the calendar every week to see when the promotion cycle was coming and instead poured her energy into showing up fully each day. Within months, her work began to speak for itself. When the promotion finally came, it wasn't forced. It flowed naturally. The practical application is simple. Focus on actions, not results. Each day ask, what can I do today that moves me forward? Release perfectionism. Perfection is often just fear dressed up. Do your best, then let go. Stay present. Obsessing over when blinds you to what you can achieve now. Detaching from the outcome doesn't mean giving up on your dreams. It means trusting that by putting in steady, aligned effort, the results will come when the time is right. When you release the need to control the timeline, you gain freedom. And ironically, that's when success often comes faster and more naturally than you ever imagined. Lesson 2. Master your mindset. If there is one thing the Stoics return to again and again, it's this. Your mind is your kingdom. No matter what happens outside of you, storms, setbacks, or even loss, your inner world remains yours to command. Marcus Aurelius put it clearly, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. We often think happiness or peace comes from external wins, money, recognition, or favorable circumstances. But the truth is that two people can face the same event and experience it completely differently. Why? Because their mindset shapes how they interpret what happens. A disciplined mind sees possibility and challenge. A scattered mind sees only fear. Think of it like a lens. If your lens is smudged with worry, doubt, or negativity, everything you see will appear darker than it really is. But if your lens is polished with clarity and optimism, you'll notice opportunities where others see obstacles. Take the example of Rachel, a young woman I once knew who lived in a constant state of stress. She rushed through her days, anxious about the future and paralyzed by what-ifs. Over time, she decided to train her mind the same way one might train a muscle. She began each morning with a few minutes of mindfulness, catching and reframing negative thoughts as they arose. Instead of, I can't handle this, she'd say, this is difficult, but I'll learn something valuable here. Slowly, her outlook shifted. Work became less overwhelming, her relationships improved, and she found herself calmer and more creative. The practical steps here are surprisingly simple, but powerful. Build awareness. Notice your self-talk. If it's negative, pause and reframe it. Train presence. Most stress comes from obsessing over the past or future. Anchor yourself in today. Guard your input. Surround yourself with ideas, books, and people that fuel growth, not fear. Mastering your mindset is not about ignoring life's struggles. It's about facing them with clarity and composure. When your inner world is steady, the outer world cannot shake you. A calm, disciplined mind is like a fortress. Storms may rage outside, but inside, you remain unshaken. And that kind of presence doesn't just change your experience. It inspires others to trust and follow you. Lesson 3. Trust in timing. One of the hardest lessons in life is learning to be patient. We live in a world of instant gratification. Fast food, fast delivery, instant answers at the touch of a screen. But the things that truly matter, growth, wisdom, deep relationships, meaningful success, cannot be rushed. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus reminded us, no great thing is created suddenly. Just as no seed becomes a towering oak overnight, the most valuable outcomes in our lives require patience, persistence, and faith in timing. Yet most of us push, rush, and demand, and in doing so, we only create frustration. Think about Sophie, a woman I once met who was desperate to accelerate her career. She worked late nights, said yes to everything, and constantly compared her pace to others. The more she forced things, the more drained and resentful she became. Then she shifted. Instead of trying to leap ahead, she invested her energy in learning, building genuine connections, and developing her craft. Within a year, doors that once seemed locked began to open naturally. What changed? Not her ambition, but her willingness to trust the process. By letting go of urgency and focusing on her growth, she aligned herself with the timing of life. Opportunities have a way of arriving not when we demand them, but when we are ready to hold them. Here are 3 practical ways to practice this lesson. Release urgency. Understand that rushing often leads to mistakes and missed details. Invest in yourself. Instead of worrying about when, focus on becoming ready for the moment when it comes. Practice patience daily. Remember, every delay may be preparing you in ways you cannot yet see. When you trust in timing, you begin to see life less as a race and more as a rhythm. You realize that setbacks are not rejections, but part of your preparation. The Stoics believe that fate unfolds as it must, and your role is not to control the clock, but to show up prepared. When you surrender the need to rush, life unfolds with far more grace, and often, when it finally does, you'll see that the wait was not wasted. It was the making of you. Lesson 4. Act with purpose, not desperation. There's a powerful difference between moving with intention and scrambling out of desperation. When you act with purpose, your steps are steady, clear, and aligned with your values. When you act with desperation, your energy is frantic, unfocused, and often repels the very things you want. Stoicism reminds us that actions rooted in clarity create calm strength, while actions rooted in fear only multiply chaos. Epictetus said it well. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Purpose is knowing who you are becoming and aligning every step with that vision instead of running blindly just to escape discomfort. Consider Jack, a man who longed for career success. For years, he jumped at every opportunity, networked frantically, and said yes to projects he didn't even care about. His energy was scattered, and people could sense his desperation. Nothing seemed to work. One day, he paused and asked himself, "Who do I really want to be?" That shift was powerful. He realized he didn't want to be everywhere at once. He wanted to be excellent at something specific. He began making deliberate choices that matched his long-term vision instead of chasing short-term validation. Within months, the right opportunities started flowing to him. His calm confidence drew people in where desperation once pushed them away. So how do you embody purpose over desperation? Clarify your vision. Define what success means to you, not just what looks good on paper. Act steadily. Purposeful action is calm and consistent, not hurried or panicked. Trust alignment. Opportunities will come when your steps reflect your deeper why. At its core, acting with purpose creates gravity. People sense when you move with calm confidence. They are drawn to it, inspired by it, and eager to trust it. Desperation, on the other hand, carries a frantic energy that drives opportunities away. The Stoic approach is to ground yourself in clarity. Know your values, know your direction, and then act. with quiet determination. Success is not about chasing every door. It's about walking confidently toward the ones that truly belong to you. Lesson 5. Let go of control. One of the most liberating truths the Stoics ever shared is that most of what we worry about lies completely outside our control. We spend so much energy trying to manipulate outcomes, manage other people's opinions, or predict the future. Yet no amount of effort can guarantee those things. Epictetus once said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." True freedom comes not from controlling the world, but from controlling ourselves. The weather, the economy, what someone thinks of you, these are outside your hands. But your choices, your effort, and your attitude, those belong entirely to you. Take Anna, for example, a woman who lived in constant worry about her career. She obsessed over how her boss perceived her, feared every potential failure, and played endless what-if scenarios in her mind. The more she tried to control outcomes, the more paralyzed she became. Finally, she decided to shift her focus inward. Instead of micromanaging the uncontrollable, she doubled down on showing up prepared, improving her skills, and managing her reactions. Slowly, her anxiety loosened its grip. She no longer wasted energy worrying about how people saw her. She concentrated on doing her best. And ironically, that shift in energy made her shine more naturally, leading to the recognition she had been chasing all along. So how do you practice letting go of control? List what's in your hands and what isn't. Direct energy only to the first list. Respond. Don't react. You may not control the storm, but you can control how you sail through it. Embrace uncertainty. Instead of resisting it, see it as the natural flow of life. The Stoics understood that trying to control everything is a form of slavery. You become a prisoner to outcomes you cannot dictate. But when you release the need to hold the world in your grip, you become lighter, calmer, and more focused. The paradox is this: by letting go of control, you gain more influence over the only thing that truly matters, yourself. And once you master yourself, the world around you begins to align in ways you never expected. Lesson 6. Embody the energy of abundance. Scarcity is a mindset that drains your energy. It whispers that there's never enough. Not enough money, not enough time, not enough opportunity. And when you live in scarcity, you start acting from fear. You cling tightly to what you have, hesitate to share, and doubt that good things will come your way. The Stoics, however, practiced abundance, not in terms of material wealth, but in terms of mindset. Seneca wrote, "He is a great man who uses earthenware dishes as if they were silver, but he is equally great who uses silver as if it were earthenware." In other words, true abundance is not measured by possessions, but by perspective. Imagine David, an entrepreneur who constantly compared himself to others. No matter what he achieved, it never felt like enough. He lived in scarcity, always chasing, never content. Then, after reading about Stoic philosophy, he began practicing gratitude. Each night, he wrote down 3 things he already had that brought him joy. Slowly, he noticed a shift. Instead of feeling jealous of others, he felt grounded in his own journey. When opportunities came, he welcomed them. But when they didn't, he no longer panicked. By focusing on what he had, he naturally attracted more trust, more partnerships, more growth. His shift to abundance wasn't about gaining more possessions, but about embodying a calm, generous energy that drew others toward him. How can you cultivate this same energy? Practice gratitude daily. Write down small wins, blessings, or lessons learned. Share freely. Whether it's knowledge, kindness, or resources, giving signals abundance. Reframe scarcity. When you catch yourself thinking not enough, replace it with what's already here. The truth is, people feel the energy you carry. When you embody abundance, you radiate confidence and openness, and opportunities gravitate toward you. When you embody scarcity, you repel those same opportunities because your energy feels heavy and closed off. Abundance isn't about ignoring challenges. It's about trusting that life has more to give and you are capable of receiving it. By shifting your focus from lack to plenty, you create a magnetic presence. That presence not only changes how you experience life, but also inspires those around you to expand into their own abundance. Lesson 7. Speak less, listen more. In today's world, everyone wants to be heard, but very few truly want to listen. Yet the Stoics understood that wisdom doesn't come from constant talking. It comes from observation, silence, and deep listening. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, famously said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we can listen twice as much as we speak." Speaking less doesn't mean withholding your voice. It means ensuring that when you do speak, your words carry weight. Most people exhaust themselves trying to prove they're right. But the wise conserve their words, choosing them carefully and only after listening fully. Consider Maria, a team leader who once struggled with constant conflict. She always felt the need to jump in, defend her views, and correct others. Her team grew tense around her, hesitant to share their ideas. One day, she tried an experiment. Instead of interrupting, she simply listened, fully, attentively, without planning her response. Something shifted. Her team began opening up more, sharing innovative solutions, and even showing more respect toward her leadership. By speaking less, she created space for others to contribute, which in turn made her more effective. Her influence grew not because she spoke louder, but because she listened deeper. Here's how you can live this principle. Pause before speaking. Ask yourself, is what I'm about to say necessary, helpful, and aligned? Listen fully. Don't just hear words. Pay attention to tone, emotion, and what's left unsaid. Value silence. Stillness often carries more power than rushed words. When you practice listening more than you speak, people begin to notice something different about you. They feel heard, valued, and understood, and that creates trust. Your presence becomes magnetic because you're not trying to dominate the room. Instead, you anchor it with quiet strength. In a noisy world, silence has become rare, and rare things are powerful. The less you waste your words, the more powerful they become. Lesson 8. Practice emotional discipline. Emotions are powerful. They can guide us, energize us, and connect us deeply to others. But when left unchecked, they can also overwhelm us and drive us into regretful actions. The Stoics never said emotions should be eliminated. Instead, they taught that emotions must be disciplined. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Anger, fear, envy, or despair may arise, but what you do with them determines your character. Emotional discipline is about mastering your responses instead of being mastered by them. Think of Mark, a father who struggled with anger. The smallest frustrations, traffic jams, missed deadlines, spilled milk at home, sent him into outbursts. His children became nervous around him, and his relationships suffered. Finally, he began practicing Stoic techniques, pausing before reacting, questioning whether his anger served any useful purpose, and taking deep breaths to ground himself. Over time, his family noticed a calmer presence. His children began approaching him more openly, and even his co-workers commented on his new composure. Mark didn't stop feeling emotions, but he learned to guide them instead of letting them control him. Here are 3 ways to practice emotional discipline daily. Pause before reacting. A deep breath can create just enough space between stimulus and response. Question your emotions. Ask, does this reaction serve me or hurt me? Redirect energy. Use emotions like anger or fear as fuel for constructive action instead of destruction. Emotional discipline isn't about suppressing feelings or pretending you're unaffected. It's about channeling your emotions wisely so they serve your growth instead of sabotaging it. When others see that you remain steady under pressure, you become a rock in their eyes, someone they can rely on. That kind of emotional stability not only elevates your inner strength, but also inspires trust, respect, and admiration from those around you. Lesson 9. Value time. Over wealth. Wealth is something most people chase without end, but the Stoics remind us that time is the one currency we can never earn back. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Think about that. Money lost can often be regained, but an hour wasted is gone forever. When we truly value time above wealth, we begin to live more intentionally. We stop trading our days for things that don't bring us meaning, and we start focusing on what actually matters. Consider Daniel, a businessman who spent years working 70-hour weeks, chasing financial success. He amassed wealth, but he missed birthdays, anniversaries, and the small moments that make life rich. Eventually, he realized that his children were growing up without him truly being present. That awakening shifted his priorities. He restructured his schedule, delegated more at work, and set boundaries so that his time reflected his values. Interestingly, not only did his relationships improve, but his business also began to thrive because he made decisions from a place of clarity instead of exhaustion. To value time above wealth, here are 3 practices. Audit your days. Track where your time goes. You may find hours wasted on distractions. Set clear priorities. Ask yourself, if I had only 5 years left, how would I spend them? Invest in experiences, not just possessions. Wealth may fade, but memories and growth remain. The Stoics teach that when we align our use of time with our values, we gain true wealth, the wealth of a meaningful life. A dollar can be replaced, but a moment lost with someone you love is gone forever. Guard your time fiercely, because it is the most precious possession you will ever own. When you choose time over wealth, you choose life itself. Lesson 10. Accept mortality. One of the boldest truths of Stoicism is learning to accept our mortality. To many, death is a topic avoided, feared, or hidden away, but the Stoics saw it as a guiding principle for how to live. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." When we face the reality that life is finite, each day becomes more valuable. Instead of drifting aimlessly or wasting time on trivial matters, we are compelled to live with urgency, meaning, and gratitude. Take the story of Maria, who spent years putting her dreams on hold. She always said she would travel someday, write her book someday, and repair her relationship with her sister someday. But someday never came until she lost a close friend unexpectedly. That moment shook her awake. She realized how fragile life is and that death is not a distant event reserved for the elderly. It is a possibility at any moment. From that day on, Maria stopped postponing life. She booked that trip, started writing, and reconciled with her sister. Mortality was no longer something to fear, but a compass pointing her toward urgency and authenticity. So, how do we accept mortality in practice? Practice memento mori, the reminder of death. This could be as simple as journaling daily with the thought, if today were my last, how would I spend it? Live for legacy, not regrets. Focus on what you can create, give, and leave behind rather than clinging to material possessions. Release the fear of endings. Understand that death is a natural part of existence, just as much as birth is. The Stoics were not morbid in their reflection on death. Instead, they used it as fuel to live fully. Accepting mortality is not about obsessing over the end. It's about cherishing the present. When you remember that your time is limited, you begin to see each sunrise, each conversation, and each breath as a gift. And when that perspective becomes part of your daily life, you stop merely existing and start truly living. Lesson 11. Focus on service to others. At the heart of Stoicism lies a deep recognition that we are all interconnected. Life is not solely about personal achievement, wealth, or recognition. It is about contributing to the greater good. The Stoics believe that true fulfillment comes when we step beyond our own desires and focus on how we can serve others. Marcus Aurelius wrote extensively about this, reminding himself that he was born to work with others, not against them. Service, in the Stoic view, is not an occasional act of charity, but a way of living, a daily practice of aligning your actions with what benefits humanity as a whole. Consider the example of Daniel, a successful entrepreneur who once measured his worth only by profits and expansion. Despite his achievements, he often felt empty, restless, and unfulfilled. Then one day, a mentor asked him, "What impact are you leaving on people's lives beyond the balance sheet?" That question shifted everything. Daniel began mentoring young business owners, funding scholarships, and helping his employees grow not just professionally, but personally. To his surprise, the more he gave, the richer his life became. He discovered that service multiplies fulfillment. Instead of chasing recognition, he focused on giving value, and recognition followed naturally, without him needing to seek it. So, how do we embody service in our daily lives? Small acts matter. Holding the door, listening without judgment, or offering encouragement can lift someone's day in ways you may never know. Share your strengths. If you have knowledge, teach. If you have resources, support. If you have time, give it. Service is not about scale, but sincerity. Ask, how can I add value today? This simple question can transform the way you interact with people, from colleagues to strangers. Stoicism teaches us that we are threads in the same tapestry. By serving others, we strengthen not only their lives, but also our own sense of purpose. In the end, the value of your life will not be measured by how much you acquired, but by how much you contributed. When your daily focus shifts from self-centered ambition to meaningful service, you step into a deeper kind of wealth, one that cannot be taken away. Lesson 12. Live in accordance with nature. One of the deepest principles of Stoicism is the idea of living in harmony with nature. But what does this really mean? To the Stoics, nature was not just the external world of forests, rivers, and stars. It was also human nature, the inner order of reason, virtue, and purpose. Living in accordance with nature means accepting life as it unfolds, acting with wisdom, and aligning your choices with both your higher self and the natural order of the universe. Instead of resisting reality or fighting what cannot be changed, you learn to flow with it, like a river that bends around stones instead of breaking against them. Think about a person who constantly fights against circumstances. Every delay becomes a frustration, every setback feels unfair, and every challenge seems like a personal attack. Contrast that with someone who accepts life's rhythms, understanding that storms pass, seasons change, and every challenge holds an opportunity for growth. One friend of mine, Maya, used to get deeply frustrated whenever plans fell apart. But when she embraced Stoic wisdom, she began seeing those disruptions as part of nature's design. Missed opportunities revealed better ones later. Delays gave her time to prepare more fully. Instead of resisting, she learned to ask, "How can I work with this situation instead of against it?" That question transformed her perspective and gave her a new sense of peace. So how do we live in accordance with nature? Accept impermanence. Nothing in life is permanent, not success, not pain, not even life itself. Embrace change as a natural rhythm rather than a threat. Honor your role. Just as trees give shade and rivers give water, humans are designed to contribute with reason, compassion, and courage. Step fully into your role. Simplify your desires. Nature provides what you need: food, air, relationships, purpose. Much of what you crave beyond this is distraction. At its core, living in harmony with nature means living authentically, in alignment with your values, without resisting the flow of life. It is about being present, grounded, and open to whatever each moment brings. As Marcus Aurelius said, "He who lives in harmony with himself lives in harmony with the universe." When you live this way, stress begins to fade, peace becomes more natural, and you no longer feel the need to fight against life. You become part of it. Conclusion: the sculpted grace of a Stoic life. As we reach the end of these 12 timeless lessons, take a moment to breathe and reflect. Life will always bring challenges, uncertainties, and moments that test your patience. You cannot escape storms, but you can choose how to stand in them. This is the gift of Stoicism, not a promise to remove hardship, but a philosophy that teaches you to move through it with dignity, calm, and quiet strength. Each lesson we've explored is a piece of armor, not to harden you, but to give you resilience, clarity, and purpose. Think about what happens when you begin applying these teachings. You stop chasing outcomes and start enjoying the process. You stop fearing the future and start embracing the present. You let go of control, yet find yourself more powerful than ever. You replace desperation with purpose and scarcity with abundance. And most importantly, you live not just for yourself, but in service to others and in harmony with nature. This is not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about practicing these truths daily until they shape who you are. Remember, as Epictetus said, "No great thing is created suddenly." Transformation takes time, but every small step compounds. Every time you pause instead of reacting, every time you choose gratitude instead of complaint, every time you embody service instead of selfishness, you are sculpting a life of grace. And that's what this channel, Sculpted Grace, is here to remind you. Strength and serenity are not opposites. They are partners. So, as you step back into your life after this video, carry these lessons with you. Let them guide you in moments of doubt, anchor you in times of change, and inspire you when the road feels long. And remember, you don't need to chase what is meant for you. Align with wisdom, embody calm strength, and trust the flow of life. When you live this way, everything you seek will begin to seek you naturally and effortlessly.